Hi dear students. So today let's see what's happening in programmed cell death or apoptosis. So let's see what is cell death. It is the event of a biological cell ceasing to carry out its function. Cell death plays a crucially important part in animal and plant development. It may be due to natural cause or due to disease or localized injury. Actually, normal cell death is a suicide. In normal cell death, cell activates an intracellular death program and cell death occurs in a controlled manner. This type of cell death is known as programmed cell death. An example of this programmed cell death is apoptosis. Apoptosis and necrosis are two major types of animal cell death. Two examples of programmed cell death in plants are senescence and cell death associated with hypersensitive response. When the lifespan of a plant tissue ends, slow death of these tissue occur. This death occurs through senescence. Senescence means the process of deterioration with age. When an infection occurs in a part of plant, there will be an attempt to block the infection so that the infection do not spread further to other parts of the plant. So the host tissue must be killed before the pathogen gets established. This killing is done by a programmed cell death in plant known as cell death associated with hypersensitive response. Apoptosis is a programmed cell death and it occurs in multicellular organisms. The following processes occur in apoptosis: blebbing, cell shrinkage, nuclear fragmentation, apoptotic body formation, and phagocytosis. Blebbing is the process in which plasma membrane of cell bulges or protrudes outwards. Cell shrinkage is a process in which the cell will shrink or reduce in its size. Nuclear shrinkage occurs through a process known as pycnosis. In pycnosis, the chromatin of nucleus of the cell undergoes irreversible condensation or shrinkage. Nuclear fragmentation occurs through a process known as karyoresis. In this, membrane of nucleus breaks or ruptures and the nucleus become fragments. After the nuclear fragmentation, the cell break into several vesicles known as apoptotic bodies. The apoptotic bodies formed are engulfed by phagocytes such as macrophages. Thus, through phagocytosis, the dead cells formed by the apoptosis are removed, and this removal occurs in an orderly manner without eliciting an inflammatory response. The various processes of apoptosis can be seen here. Here you can see the bleb formation and the cell shrinkages. And here you can see the nuclear shrinkage or nuclear condensation. This is followed by the nuclear fragmentation. After nuclear fragmentation, the cells will break into several vesicles known as apoptotic bodies. And these apoptotic bodies formed are engulfed by phagocytosis such as macrophages. And these are finally removed. So what makes it different from necrosis? Necrosis is a form of cell injury which results in the premature death of cells in living tissue by autolysis. Necrosis is caused by factors external to the cell or tissue such as infection, toxins or trauma, and it is also caused by internal factors such as injury, paralysis of nerve cells, which result in the unregulated digestion of cell components. The necrosis cell death doesn't follow the apoptotic signal transduction pathway, but rather it has various receptors which are activated and result in the loss of cell membrane integrity and an uncontrolled release of product of cell death into the extracellular spaces take place. This initiates in the surrounding tissue an inflammatory response that will prevent nearby phagocytes from locating and eliminating the dead cells by phagocytosis. It is often necessary to remove this necrotic tissue surgically. This is a procedure known as debridement. and this untreated necrosis results in a buildup of decomposing dead tissue and cell debris at or near the site of the cell death. Let's see the difference between necrosis and apoptosis here. In the first step, there is small blood formation in both necrosis and apoptosis. But in necrosis, the structure of the nucleus also changes. In the second step, in necrosis, the blood spews and become larger, and the no organelles are located in this bloods. Thus, in the case of apoptosis, here the nucleus begins to break apart and the DNA breaks into small pieces, and here the organelles are located in the bloods. And in the next stage, in necrosis, the cell membrane ruptures and releases the cell content. And here the organelles are not functional in necrosis. Whereas in apoptosis, the cell breaks into several apoptotic bodies and the organelles are still functional here. Let's see the basic function of apoptosis. First one is in tissue homeostasis. Second one is in development and differentiation, in immune system, and in cell damage. The cell type proportions are always kept in constant despite the fact that the cells continually turn over. This feature is called the tissue homeostasis. Apoptosis has an indispensable role in development and differentiation process, especially in the embryo. Here it provides a means to switch off cells no longer needed during embryonal morphogenesis and synaptogenesis. And in the immune system, apoptotic programs are activated in various situations. For example, the elimination of the target cells like virus-infected cells by cytotoxic T lymphocytes, and the elimination of autoreactive B or T lymphocytes, and for the natural selection and elimination of cells in the thymus. 95% of the T cells that migrate to the thymus are eliminated by apoptosis. The next function of apoptosis is in cell damage. In this, you can see that a healthy cell is injured and some genetic errors result from this injury. In this phase, the cell attempts to repair the errors and some of the errors of the cells have been repaired. But some errors still remains and there is additional injury to the cell. And in this phase, the cell is unable to repair the errors. So, in that case, the cell programs itself to die via apoptosis in order to avoid the cell with damage in the process. Components of apoptosis. A family of specialized proteases named caspases is central to the apoptotic diagram. With respect to function, caspases are grouped into two biologically distinct subfamilies. One subfamily mediates initiation. For example, initiator capsases like capsases 8 and 9, and some are required for execution. They are executioner or effector caspases, caspases 3, 6 and 7 of the apoptotic program. The first level of caspase regulation involves the conversion of the caspase precursors, the zymogens, to the active forms in response to the inflammatory or apoptotic stimuli. The second level of caspase control involves the specific inhibition by binding of natural inhibitors. Control of the proteolytic activation. Proteolytic activation of procaspases uses two mechanisms depending on whether the caspase function as an effector caspase or an initiator caspase. Initiator caspases are the first to be inactivated in response to a pro-apoptic stimulus and are responsible for activating the effector caspases by limited proteolysis. The effector caspases are thought to be responsible for most of the substrate proteolysis observed during apoptosis. By digesting central proteins, the effector caspases direct the cell to death. The initiator caspases receive pro-apoptic cell signals and initiate the activation of a caspase cascade. They are activated by assembly into a multi-protein complex and they contain large pro-domains responsible for the interaction. Let's see the gatekeepers of apoptosis. BCL2 family of proteins derive its name from the B-cell lymphoma 2. At present, more than 2 members of the BCL2 family are known, which have a negative or positive effect on the initiation of the apoptotic program. On the basis of a structural and functional criteria, the BCL2 family has been divided into 3 groups. The first one is group 1. All members of this group have anti-apoptotic functions. Let's assume that the members of this family prevent cell death by binding the pro-apoptotic BCL2 family members of group 2 and 3. Overexpression of group 1 members can prevent initiation of the apoptotic program in various cell types. An example of the group 1 is BCL-XL protein. The next one is group 2. This group includes the pro-apoptotic BAX and BAC proteins, and their activity is necessary for the induction of mitochondria-mediated apoptosis. Group 3 act by binding to group 1 and group 2 family members via the BH3 domain. These pro-apoptotic polypeptides include the BIT, BAT, BIM, NOXA and PUMA proteins, which are thought to be the sensors of pro and anti-apoptotic stimuli, integrating this into a life or death decision. Apoptotic pathway is broadly classified into intrinsic pathway and extrinsic pathway. Let's see what's happening in the intrinsic pathway. Activation of apoptosis via mitochondria is an example of the intrinsic pathway, where stress signals, DNA damage signals, and defects in signaling pathways are processed. The intrinsic pathway uses the mitochondria as a central component for activation of apoptosis. In this pathway, a multitude of intracellular signals, including various stresses like DNA damage and inappropriate cell signaling, that leads to activation of the pro-apoptotic protein BAX, which induces release of cytochrome C from mitochondria, formation of the apoptosome, and activation of the initiator caspase 9 take place. Finally, the executional caspases are activated and cells are destructed by proteolysis. Apoptosis via this pathway can be controlled by various anti-apoptotic proteins, including the BCL2 protein and inhibitors of apoptosis. The various cellular stresses results in severe DNA damage, and this causes the pro-apoptotic members of the BCL2 family like BAX to get inserted into the outer mitochondrial membrane, and insertion of these proteins lead to the release of cytochrome C molecules from the intermembrane space of the mitochondria, and release is thought to be mediated by the pores in the mitochondrial membrane that are formed by BAX oligomers. And once in the cytosol, the cytochrome C molecules form a multi-subunit complex with a cytosolic protein called APAF1 and procaspase 9 molecule. It's called apoptosome. Then the procaspase 9 molecules are apparently activated to their full proteolytic activity, and as a result of the conformational change induced by association of APAF1, the caspase 9 molecules cleave and activate the executional caspases, which carry out the apoptotic responses. Next, let's see what's happening in the extrinsic pathway. It uses extracellular death ligands like Fas ligand, tumor necrosis factor, that is TNF, to activate the death receptors, which pass the apoptotic signal to initiator caspases, for example caspase 8, and to the executional caspases, for example caspase 3 and caspase 7. In the execution phase of apoptosis, various cellular substrates are degraded, leading to cellular collapse. As a consequence of this caspase activation, a number of key enzymes and structural proteins of the cell are degraded, leading to cell death. The stimuli that induce apoptosis are very diverse and include, for example, DNA damage, stress conditions, malfunction of pathways regulating the cell proliferation. Let's see what's happening in extrinsic pathway. When this TNF binds to the TNF receptor, that is TNFR1, the activator binds two different cytoplasmic adapter proteins, that is TRADD and FADDD, which is represented by in blue and violet colors. And the procaspase 8 will also bind together to form a multi-protein complex at the inner surface of the plasma membrane. The cytoplasmic domains of the TNF receptor, that is FADD and TRADD, interact with one another by the homologous region called the death domain, which is marked by orange color, and the procaspase 8 interact with the FADD. Once assembled in the complex, the two procaspase molecules cleave one another to generate an active caspase 8 molecule containing 4 polypeptide segments. The caspase 8 is an initiator complex that activates downstream caspases that carry out the death sentence or apoptosis. It should be also noted that the interaction between this TNF and TNFR1, it can also activate another signal pathways which can lead to cell survival rather than the self-destruction, that is apoptosis. So there we come to the end of the session. Thank you for your patience, students.